Are you desiring more out of life? More love, more connection, more experience, just more aliveness? Well, that is your soul calling you, and together we are going to uncover those soul desires and help you bridge the gap between your physical life and your true soul self. Welcome to the Suddenly Spiritual podcast. My name is Emily. I'm an intuitive, a psychic medium, and someone who recently and very suddenly awakened to spirituality. On this podcast, we are going to talk all about connecting with your soul to live your fullest, most beautiful life. We're going to talk about spirituality from the perspective of the everyday person. It's my goal that you feel seen and supported on this journey of discovering your soul and awakening to the incredible world of spirit. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to the Suddenly Spiritual podcast. This is Emily, your host, and I am super excited you're here. Thank you for tuning in, for clicking on this episode. And if you clicked over to this episode, then I'm guessing you're a little bit curious about what it's like to receive an intuitive reading. So that's what we're chatting about today. I wanted to record this episode because a lot of the readings I've been doing are for people who've never had a reading before. And I know that going into something new, especially an intuitive reading, a spiritual reading, if you've never done that before, it can make you super nervous because you don't know what's going to happen. And so I want to just calm some nerves and give people a little bit of background and a little bit more comfort coming into a reading with me. So if you're someone who has booked a reading, this is really going to help you to understand what to expect from it and hopefully answer any questions that you have. If you're someone who's considering booking a reading, this will help you out too. If you're just nosy and curious, I'm totally the same way. Welcome. We're going to share all about behind the scenes and what you can expect, what it's like for my style of reading. The readings that I do right now at this moment, it's August 2023. So the readings that I do right now are intuitive spiritual guidance sessions. That's what I call it. It's kind of a long name, but that's what I ended up with. And in these sessions, I am receiving intuitive information from spirit and from your energy, like from your soul. I'm receiving information about you, and I'm able to really see people for who they are at their core, at their truest self. It is so beautiful. And I'm also able to see some of the areas where you're a little bit stuck, a little stagnant, a little bit blocked. And when I see those, I'm also able to get spiritual guidance to help you gain some clarity and figure out how to move forward while feeling so incredibly supported by the universe. And so the messages that you can expect in these sessions are pretty personal. That might seem obvious, but I have had some people come in for messages, and I think they were a little caught off guard by just how personal the message was that came through. And so I really want to prepare people to let them know that this is personal. Like, I'm going to be able to see how you're feeling, and we're going to get some guidance and some help for you to move forward from wherever you're at. I just don't want you to be caught off guard with the type of information that comes through. So I didn't mean to dive in right away like that. I was going to give you a little overview of what we're talking about, so I'm going to do that right now. Today, I'm going to cover what you can expect when you book a reading. I'm going to go over what type of information will come through, which is what I just shared a little bit. And then we'll talk about how to prepare for a reading. And then I'm also going to chat with you about what to do after you receive your reading, because I think that that's really an important part of it as well. So let's dive in with what to expect when you book your reading. The first thing I want to let you know is that right now, all of my readings are done completely remotely. I don't use Zoom. I don't use a phone call. I don't meet in person. Everything is done totally remotely, which I do understand is different from how a lot of other mediums or intuitives operate. But right now, it's what works best for me. So when you book a reading, you'll provide me with your name and with a question or like an area of your life you want the reading to focus on. And then on my own, I will connect in with spirit and receive the message for you. And then I will record it as an audio file and send it to you. So there's no meetings, no time that we both have to coordinate together. It makes it super, super easy for you, for me. Everything is done totally separately. And it's also like so incredible that energy works that way. I don't even need to know anything about you other than your name, and I'm able to get this information. It's pretty amazing. So I receive the message, I record an audio file with the information that came through. Those are usually 15 to 20 minutes, the audio files. Sometimes I can talk a lot. If you've been listening to the podcast for a little bit, you maybe got the sense of that. So sometimes they end up being 25 or 30 minutes, but I really try to keep it right at the 15 to 20-minute mark, unless there's just so much that came through that I have to keep talking. I'm going to do my best to deliver everything that came through to you and to make sure that I'm explaining it fully in a way that will make sense to you. So that's why it gets a little long sometimes. But haven't had anyone complain about that. So I think that it's pretty amazing to have that audio file that you can listen to at any time, stop and start. It's great. Right now with my readings, I do have an option to add on a card pull. So if you want, in addition to the intuitive reading, you can also add on an oracle card pull, which means I use one of my oracle card decks and I pull a couple cards. We look over the meanings of those cards and I deliver some additional perspectives to your message based on the cards. The cards can provide really a lot more guidance. I love it when people add on the cards because it a lot of times it kind of gives a different perspective to the message. It's like it widens the understanding of the message. Widen isn't the right word. It expands our understanding of the message, and it really provides a lot more clarity. So if you're interested in that, if you feel connected to oracle cards, then that's something that you can add on, and I love doing it. Right now for my readings, I have a 14-day turnaround time. Usually readings are done in less than 7 days, but it may take up to 14 days after you book for you to get your audio file. It just depends on how many readings I have at the time, what's going on in my life, stuff like that. So that is what you get when you book a reading, just like the basics. And then I wanted to talk to you about what type of information is going to come through. Like I said, the readings I am offering right now are intuitive information. There's also like some psychic information that may come through. And when you are booking your reading, there will be a prompt after you book. You'll get sent to like a questionnaire, and there'll be a prompt that will have you enter a specific question or a specific topic to help to guide the reading. Now, you can just say, I want a general reading and just see what comes through, but I really recommend putting in some sort of question or like area of your life that you want to focus on, that you want a little guidance on. Like if you want some guidance in how to move forward in your career, maybe you're deciding, should I quit my job? Should I stay in my job? If you want information about how to improve your relationship with your family, relationship with your spouse, if you want, I don't know, anything like that. I'm sure you can think of in any area of your life where you are feeling a little bit of struggle. Maybe you want some advice regarding like how to be more healthy, things like that. Along the lines of be more healthy, I do want to mention that I don't do medical intuitive services, meaning that I don't like diagnose people or give medical information or anything like that. That's not information that I receive. So I'm not able to do that. I also do not predict the future. So I don't have a crystal ball to predict the future, but I'm sure someone does, and that's probably pretty cool. It's just not quite what I do. So let's see, let's move on here. I'll just tell you what usually the structure of a reading is, like how things usually come through and come to me and how I deliver them. So you just have a little more information about what exactly you're going to hear when you get that audio file with your message. So when I connect in with spirit, almost always, like 90% of the time, the first thing that happens is I receive a vision. And this vision is sometimes it's sort of literal, like I see you walking down the street, or I see that you're moving, or I see something really literal like that. Other times it's a metaphor. I see, I don't know, like the ocean or birds in the sky. It's usually a whole little story that I see. And sometimes it's literal, sometimes it's a metaphor. And that vision isn't followed by an interpretation where I'm asking questions of spirit, getting some more information, some additional messages, and learning how this vision applies to you. Usually, after that, I start writing, and then some channeled messages come through from spirit. So that's what happens for me, and that's how I deliver it. I like to deliver everything that I see, every message that comes through to me. And I like to do that because even if it's just a metaphor and I'm interpreting it for someone, I like to tell them the actual vision that I saw instead of only the interpretation, because a lot of times people connect with that vision. Like if I tell them I had this vision of the mountains and a deer crossing the mountain and coming to a river, and then he goes to a city, and then he leaves the city, and I don't know, whatever happens in the vision, I tell that to the person, and then they're like, oh, that makes so much sense to me because I was just in the mountains yesterday and I saw a deer, and then this applies to my life in this way. So if I only deliver the interpretation, then people miss that connection with the beautiful story that I get to see in my head. So I really try to deliver the whole vision, and then I deliver the interpretation and the messages that come through from spirit about that vision. A lot of times the messages that come through for these are about emotional or sort of inner work in relation to a specific area of your life. And if you've identified a specific area of your life, then that's the information that's going to be coming through, whether it's about improving a relationship, about gaining self-confidence, healing from a past trauma that comes through sometimes. Sometimes it's messages about being more open to receiving help, receiving guidance, self-love, things like that. Very rarely do I get exact instructions from spirit. It is always pointed out to me from spirit. There's just this message that comes through every time, really, that the client, the person I'm doing the reading for, has a choice. Spirit offers guidance, but it's not a mandate. It's not like do this or else. I feel like the messages that come through are spirit providing you an option for your highest path forward, but it is always your choice if you choose to take that path or not. So I don't want you to expect, if you ask me, should I have a baby? Spirit's not going to say yes or no. Spirit's going to show me possibility and give you some guidance to empower you to make that decision. So I feel like if it's yes or no, that kind of goes along with predicting the future and things like that. Things just aren't as set in stone as we humans would like them to be. So guidance will come through to help you feel more confident in making the decisions and moving forward in the area of life that you've identified. Like I mentioned before, the really special thing about these readings is that I really feel like I get to see the truest part of you in these visions. Like I get to see your soul. I get to see where you shine, like your true being, who you are. If you're someone who's super giving or super loving or just really open, I get to see that. And it is so beautiful. It is such a huge gift to get to experience that. And I absolutely love that I get to mirror that back to you, because so often people do not realize how incredible they are. It is hard for us to see ourselves, to see our true selves, because we have all this ego and all of this conditioning and other things like built up as this wall that comes up between us being able to see ourselves and appreciate ourselves for who we truly are. And so one of the really magical things that happens in this reading is that I get to be a mirror for you, so that you can really see who you truly are, and you can really see the magic that is within you. I mean, I hope I do a good job reflecting that back to people, because it is so evident to me when I do these readings, and it is such a gift to get to see, and I really do my best to deliver that gift back to you. And a lot of times I hear back from people after they've received their reading that listening to the reading has made them a little emotional, made them a little teary as they were listening to it. And it's not my intention to make people cry, but I think that the reason that emotion comes up is just because people are being seen for who they are at their core. And that just doesn't happen often in our world. Like, it's hard to allow someone to see you for who you truly are. And so having that reflected back to you is just so beautiful and impactful and validating. I really think that's what brings up a lot of emotions when people do listen to their reading. It's that beauty and magic of being seen for who you truly are, who you are at your core, which is just not something that we often get to experience. What I've described is how like 95% of the readings go, but when I connect in, sometimes something different happens. I am just the messenger. I'm not in charge. And so sometimes spirit takes me in a different direction and different types of information comes through. If that happens, I just deliver everything that I can to try and give you the most comprehensive reading that I possibly can. It's always my intention to speak to your heart and to help you move forward into your best possible version of this lifetime, into your highest possible life, most beautiful existence that you can possibly have during this lifetime. So I just do my best to deliver everything that comes through. But like I said, the vision, the interpretation, the written channeling, that I read the written channeling to you when that comes through, but that is what the vast majority of readings are like. So to prepare for your reading, you really don't have to do anything. So lucky you. All you have to do is sign up, and then that's it. And there's really no preparation. Once you book, you do need to fill out the little form that asks you just for your name, what you want the reading to focus on. And that's the only real thing you need to do. The other thing I would guide you to do is try to remain open to whatever information that's going to come through. So let's talk about what to do when you receive your reading and after you receive it. So once you receive your audio, you can listen to it as often as you want, which is what I think is really cool about delivering messages this way, because I have spoken with some of my past clients, and multiple clients have said that they've listened to that audio file repeatedly, sometimes a month or two after the initial reading, and they are still gaining insights from it. They are still connecting with the message and applying that message into their life, even a month or two after they initially received it. So I think that is so powerful and so magical to have that file, that audio that you can listen to at any time. And it is so personal. And so whenever you need that connection, or you need that bit of guidance or support or redirection, you have it right there to listen to whenever you need it. As you are listening, I encourage people to consider the message and my interpretation, and at the same time just think about their current life and really see how it fits together. As me, the person who's receiving the messages, I have such a small little glimpse of your life in my intuitive connection, whereas you have the whole picture. So I just really want you to focus on, maybe not focus, but to feel empowered to take that message and really let yourself kind of explore how it applies to different areas of your life, how it really fits in with your current struggles or your current experience that you're going through right now. I also like to remind people that the message that comes through, it includes my interpretations, and those interpretations are guided by spirit, but ultimately you know yourself better than I do, better than anyone does. And so I like to encourage people to use their own intuition, their own inner guidance, their own like gut feelings when they're listening. And if there's an interpretation of that vision that comes through that doesn't quite sit with you, or if I say something and immediately in your head you think, no, that actually means this, go with your gut. I always encourage people to trust themselves over someone else giving them this information, because the reality is I'm connecting in for you, but you are so smart, and you also have these intuitive gifts and this spiritual connection, and you can know these things. You can know these things about yourself just like I do. And so if anything that I say in your reading, if anything you're like, that's not quite right, this is actually what it means, trust yourself. Always trust yourself, because you know better than anyone. And I want you to feel empowered to trust yourself, to trust your own intuition, to trust your gut feelings. And then the last couple things I'll say, when you receive your reading, I love it when people send me a message back and let me know how they received it. If they had any questions, I'm so happy to chat with people. I love hearing how it applies to your life. So if you want to share, you can, but there's never any obligation to. And then the last thing I want to say, that the most important thing that you should do after you receive your reading is to take the guidance you receive and act on it. Don't just take this reading in and then never do anything with the information you receive. If you book a reading and receive guidance from spirit, this is spirit really reaching out, trying to help you and guide you. And it's really an opportunity to deepen your connection and your trust of the universe, of spirit, of God, of your guides. It's really an opportunity to deepen that connection and deepen that trust. And the way that you can do that is by receiving that guidance and then actually acting on it, actually moving forward with it. Don't just let it gather dust in the background. Don't think that sounds hard. If part of your message is to take better care of yourself and to spend time by yourself outside, if that's part of your message, my friend, please do it. Please really do it. It's important. If it's in your message that has been delivered to you, it is because it is important and you are worth taking the actions on that guidance. Okay. That is everything I had for you. And look, it's not too long. We're still less than 30 minutes. I really hope that this helped you to understand better what it is like to receive a reading from me. And I hope it answered any questions that you might have, any nervousness that you might have felt about getting a reading and not knowing what is going to happen. It's not scary. It's an easy process. And you, by booking a reading, like, you are opening the door to this magic and this guidance that can come through to you. So thank you for listening, my friend. If you do have any questions, reach out to me and I am happy to chat with you more. If you decide you want to book a reading, there'll be information in the show notes where you can do that. Okay, I love you so much, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Suddenly Spiritual podcast. I'm so grateful that I get to be part of your journey of spiritual expansion. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would leave a review for me on Apple Podcasts. It's a quick, free, easy way for you to support this podcast, and it helps me reach more people who are looking for support on their spiritual journey. You can find a link to leave a review in the show notes. Thank you so much, and I'll chat with you soon.